Here's today's top story. Samsung S95H OLED review, not quite the ultra-frame TV we wanted. Pros: punchy picture quality, one of the best anti-reflective screens yet bright, and excellent for gaming. Cons: HDR colors are inaccurate, no ambient mode despite ability to display art every year. TV manufacturers try to impress the superiority of their new models upon us. This TV is so many percentile points better than the previous one. In this same way, both the LG G6 and the Samsung S95H promised a lot for 2026, and despite more modest gains in picture quality than they claimed, these are still great OLED TVs. Though they are closely matched, there's one particular Samsung feature that has attracted a lot of interest. One of the most intriguing features of the S95H is its ability to act like a frame TV, but not quite, by displaying static artwork, something that hasn't been possible with OLED technology before. However, I found it's not capable of the same ambient mode, and so it's a much more manual process. Of the two, the LG has more accurate color, and I prefer its anti-reflective coating, as it maintains black levels in a lit room. Yet, the LG has some issues with shadow detail, making grays appear lighter than they should. The Samsung, meanwhile, is a blast if you're a gamer, more on that further down. That said, you will get a better deal by buying last year's TV, and the rival LG G5 is similar to the S95H, but is also $1,000 cheaper. While the Samsung OLED's ability to display art may be an interesting quirk, the Frame Pro is a more attractive option if a gallery mode is what you want most. Also read, Best TVs of 2026 Samsung S95H OLED TV sizes. Series comparison. I performed a hands-on evaluation of the 65-inch Samsung S95H, but this review also applies to the other screen sizes in the series. All sizes have similar specs and should provide similar picture quality. 55-inch Samsung S95H QN 55 S95 HOFXA, 65-inch Samsung S95H QN 65 S95 HOFXA, 77-inch Samsung S95H QN 77 S95 HOFXA, 83-inch Samsung S95H QN 83 S95 Hexa design and remote. If you've been familiar with Samsung's flagship TVs of the past few years, you'll remember the external connection boxes either wireless or connected by a thin cable. Well, that's all gone, and it's been replaced by the most controversial part of the new design. The TV is surrounded by a 1-inch thick metal surround that looks like it should be replaceable, a la the frame, but sadly it isn't. I didn't pull it apart to test this, but Samsung representatives told me that this frame is what now houses the old Connect box circuitry. While the separate box kept the previous model supremely thin, at 0.4 inches deep, the S95H is over twice as thick at 1 inch. Though it's not visible head-on, if you duck to the side, you'll see that there is actually a space between the screen and the bezel, occupied by Sony PlayStation-like vents. OLEDs get hot, especially when they get as bright as the S95H, and this is a neat way to prevent your new screen from poaching in its own juices. One welcome upgrade from last year is the provision of an easy-to-assemble stand. These two toolless, click-in legs took less time to assemble than washing your hands did during the pandemic. Happy birthday to you. Samsung has pared down its chunky, colorful remote of the past to the bare minimum, a wafer-shaped clicker powered by a solar panel on the back. It's fairly easy to use, though its lack of functionality won't please power users. For instance, if you use your TV as an input switch, then you need to navigate to the connected devices menu option at the top to change inputs. I still prefer remotes that have a dedicated input button. The screen is the star. For the past few years, LG has released iterations of its brightness-enhancing technology called 4-Stack, which overlaps several OLED screens. Meanwhile, while Samsung's 2026 S95H has seen a big jump in its brightness, a 30% increase in brightness year-over-year, its screen makeup hasn't appeared to have changed from QD or Quantum. OLED. The reasons to buy this screen vary, but alongside the artwork feature, the anti-reflective coating is impressive and lets almost nothing through. If you have a pesky, distracting light source behind you that you can't tame any other way, this TV is an attractive solution. But the S95H is not the only Samsung TV that does this. The S90H now has a modified version, and the frame TVs have sported their own coatings for many years. Speaking of the frame, this Samsung is the first OLED TV to be able to display static art for extended amounts of time. According to the company, Samsung OLED TVs incorporate multiple image retention mitigation technologies, including pixel shift and pixel refresh, designed to help reduce the risk of burn-in during normal viewing conditions. These technologies dynamically manage pixel usage to distribute more evenly across the panel over time. To test the new art mode, I left the most high-contrast image running for the better part of a day, a black and white Moomin image from the gallery. In ordinary circumstances, the TV would show retention of this kind of image almost immediately, but switching to a white or all-gray image showed no retention at all. Impressive. It's just a pity there's no ambient mode to display an image when you turn off the TV. Smart TV gets an AI makeover. Being this is 2026, this television has a horde of AI-flavored technologies, some more useful than others. Though Samsung doesn't have World Cup affiliations, the TV does have an AI soccer mode. This mode makes the ball less fuzzy during movement and the field more green. Is this something football fans need, though? The S95H also sports the NQ4 AI Gen 3 processor for image processing and upscaling, as well as Amazon Alexa built in. Unlike most high-end TVs, the S95H doesn't have Dolby Vision HDR, and while I don't think this is a big deal, completists may look to LG, Sony, or even Panasonic instead. Connectivity is now all housed on the TV and includes 4 HDMI 2.1 inputs, 4K 165Hz, 3 USB-A ports, 1 USB-C port, optical digital audio output, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, Ethernet. I've been no fan of the smart TV systems of either Samsung or rival LG in recent years, but Samsung has taken steps in 2026 to streamline the experience. While the screen naturally leans into everything AI, it is cleaner and better organized than ever. From left to right, the redesigned menu now starts with an information cluster that includes your profile, connected devices, especially useful for changing inputs, and settings. The other menu options to the right are probably less useful, depending on which way the wind is blowing, with For You, Live, Games, Art, AI and Artwork Store, Daily and Apps. Like the Samsung S95F before it, the latest TV brings gesture control for owners of a Samsung Galaxy Watch. I didn't test it this time around, but if the experience is the same as before, I can't imagine many people using it more than once. A remote is much better. High-end OLED comparison: LG G6 versus LG G5 versus Samsung S95H versus Samsung S90H versus Hisense U7. I started my tests of these 5 TVs with the 4K UHD Blu-ray Movie It, and as Georgie hesitated at the top of the stairs to the basement, I felt the S95's rival, the LG G6, displayed too much shadow detail. The open space beside him, with all its wooden beams, was very green on the G6, and this was compared with the G5, which had too little detail, while the S95H had about the right amount. The same thing happened when I played the ruined city scene from the movie 1917, which starts in almost complete darkness. The G6 was too bright, and while I could appreciate the shadow detail, the S95H had a more balanced mix of shadow and pure black. The G5 behaved similarly to the Samsung here and showed that the older TV still knows how to mix with the young kids. I then switched to a streaming copy of the latest Superman movie, and during the opening scenes of snow and ice, I found that the Samsung S95H, G5 and G6 looked very similar in terms of near-white detail. Yet some of the finer areas in the Fortress of Solitude looked a little greener on the Samsung, the first inkling that its HDR colors may differ from those on the other screens. That's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe.